Bayanat history goes almost 4 decades ago. Bayanat was acquired by G42. Proud that in 2021 we were able to launch the first public transportation autonomous systems in Abu Dhabi. I honestly think we're just touching the surface here. There's much more to happen, but as we say, one hand cannot clap. You need that integration.
Hasan Al Hosani, Managing Director, Bayanat.ai. Welcome to the World Geospatial Industry Council, WGIC. We're very pleased to have you today on our show. Thank you so much for taking this time.
All right. So first of all, I would like to thank you for this time. It's truly a pleasure to meet you and have this discussion with you. It's great to hear that you've been in Bayanat almost a decade ago, as you mentioned, right? So it'll be, I think, interesting for you to see where we have taken Bayanat since then and what we have enclosed. But it's truly, I consider it an honor, a privilege to be affiliated and to be connected with the WGIC. And I truly look forward to see how can Bayanat contribute to the aspiration that WGIC is building up, and to actually collaborate and work with the different partners and different members of the WGIC to improve and to really create further advancement in the geospatial domain.
Bayanat is a very reputed and trusted surveying and mapping operator for decades now. From being a very traditional geospatial player to an AI-powered geospatial analytics company now, how did the company bring about this transformation? Can you help us understand?
Sure. As you already know, Bayanat history goes almost 4 decades ago, when the military surveying department actually created the sector for mapping and surveying and creating the base map for the UAE. In early 2020s, that process was taken into privatization. So Bayanat became a company, a standalone private company that provides the service of mapping and surveying, not only for the military and the national security, but the overall country, be it the municipalities and different domains or different end users. In 2020, Bayanat was acquired by G42. G42 is a company that is really harboring AI across various domains, be it healthcare, smart cities, cloud computing, all of these different domains. Geospatial was one of the areas that G42 wanted to really invest in. So Bayanat came as the right company to be built. So we've acquired Bayanat in 2020, and since then we've built up the momentum to inject AI in 2 parallel lanes when it comes to what Bayanat is doing. So we've taken the classical mapping and surveying, be it ground mapping and aerial mapping and underwater surveying as well, into the next level, injecting AI to see how we can actually do process automation, faster data processing. Of course, we're talking about large data, be it for orthophotos or digital surface modeling or terrain modeling, all the different tools and sources of geospatial data products. So how can we actually improve the efficiency and the operational processing of getting this data from raw data to products? And then how can we inject AI to use the geospatial data for predictive analysis to give the end user not only a map or a high resolution image, but more of a statistical analysis, geographically connected on a geographical user interface that can give them different reads that can be interpreted into courses of action to support decision making in the different domains. And as we go through this discussion, we'll talk about a few examples in environment and municipalities and transportations and so forth.
Yeah, that will bring me to the next question as to how geospatial is integrating with artificial intelligence, and how is it solving some of the complex problems the world is facing today.
So from our perspective, how can we apply AI into our geospatial domain? As we mentioned, of course, we're always looking at expediting the process of processing the raw data that we're getting. So AI can help with change detection, with object detection on the ground, which actually simplifies the process of having the data more recent, more consistent. So we're always monitoring where are the changes, for example, in an urban area. Where do we apply a quick surveying is required? So we keep our maps. We always say our maps is like food. It has an expiration date. Yeah. If it's old, then it's not very useful. So how can we keep the data coming in a way that our maps, our data, our imagery are all recent? So this is one way of building AI to actually support the geospatial data processing. The other side, as we mentioned, everything now is becoming more visual. So when you're applying artificial intelligence or applying advanced analytics into any domain, be it healthcare, be it transportation, be it whatever, you need that visual geographical user interface to be able to show you how things are. And normally we look at three different dimensions: pre, during, and post. So pre a certain event, what is the current status, how things are, that how things are set as of today. Then during a certain event, how things are evolving, how things are changing. So we're monitoring that change, we're supporting that change, and we provide certain predictive analysis on that. And then post a certain event, we're looking at analyzing lesson learned, impacts, long-term impacts, short-term impacts, all of these different dimensions that we're looking at from an operational perspective. And hence, we built Bayanat onto four verticals. One is smart geospatial systems. Two is smart mobility systems. Smart operation is the third. And finally, of course, our space sector and what we can do on the remote sensing and the space sector.
Okay. On that count, I'm pretty interested for the benefit of WGIC members and also the wider geospatial industry. Can you enumerate Bayanat's smart mobility solutions, and how Bayanat is pioneering autonomous driving and unmanned systems in MENA region, in the Middle East and North Africa region?
So part of taking over Bayanat in 2020, we looked at the abundance, first of all, of geospatial data that Bayanat sits on. And we've also looked at Bayanat's operations, where we're doing ground surveying and aerial surveying. So we have the high definition maps, we have the georeferencing points across Abu Dhabi and the entire UAE. So we thought about how can we leverage this data, this georeferencing capabilities that Bayanat has to see what kind of products we can create. So we focused on the backbone system. So today we offer the high precision positioning systems on the ground. We offer the backbone high definition maps that you need to create digital twins and other geospatial data that supports the autonomous mobility. And of course, the cloud computing, the infrastructure required for the autonomous mobility. That would be the contribution of Bayanat. And then we sat agnostic to suppliers. So we've welcomed a lot of different partners across the entire world. Come, bring your capabilities, bring your cars, bring your hardware, and let's apply it together in the UAE. So we were very proud that in 2021, we were able to launch the first public transportation autonomous systems in Abu Dhabi. We called it Taxi with a Twist, so it's TXAI, so we can incorporate the artificial intelligence into the program. And it was with a few partners that brought in the hardware, their cars, let's call them. They provide the front end, while Bayanat is actually working on the back end support for them. And jointly, we launched our smart taxi program, or TXAI, in 2021, just 4 or 5 vehicles in a small Yas island. And then we built, of course, with the regulator authority, the Integrated Transportation Center of Abu Dhabi. How can we regulate the autonomous cars on the street? How do we build that? So we started, of course, putting the aspect of securing the safety of passengers, safety of pedestrians across. So we built that momentum. In phase 2, we've expanded geographically. So now we are operating in Yas Island. We're operating in Saadiyat Island as well. We also expanded quantitatively. So we have introduced more vehicles on the road, robo-buses, ARTs or automotive rapid transport units, which is basically a tram on wheel. So all of those different vehicles are L4 enabled, which means it's ready to go fully autonomous. However, we put a safety officer in place to actually monitor and look at how the system is actually progressing, ensuring the safety of our the public safety in general. Now, we have actually accumulated so far more than 400,000 kilometers driven autonomously with an accuracy of 97%, given that the 3% is when you take the car to charge and discharge or to the depot for maintenance and so forth. So the entire operation, alhamdulillah, so far we are accident-free, no issues, no concerns, which gives us more stability. And of course, it gives Bayanat that raw data that is actually encouraging a lot of other partners to come in and build the momentum across that domain. So this is what we are currently doing on the smart mobility sector on the ground. We're also looking into unmanned sea vehicles and how we can leverage that, unmanned aerial vehicles and how we can leverage that. And our target is more either for public transportation, for logistics, and of course for our NSRC or National Search and Rescue for disasters and so forth.
This is a fantastic achievement, I should say, for the geospatial industry to couple up. And I'm very glad to know that you're able to scale up to a much broader stakeholders as well. Great. So that brings me to another topic, which is again very, very hot, I should say, for the geospatial industry, which is the climate change. So in your view, how is artificial intelligence empowering geospatial to solve climate change issues? And what are Bayanat's solutions in this space?
Yeah, we are very keen on environment and sustainability. It's an area that it's built within our DNA. So we've set up multi or different domains within Bayanat to look into how can we contribute to monitoring the environment, the climate change, the impacts, the disasters, the catastrophes that happen. And I can give you actual examples of what we've done. So we have created a platform, we called it AID. So it's Artificial Intelligence for Disasters. The AID program is looking at certain crises that happened across the last 2 years. And again, as I mentioned earlier, we're looking at pre, during, and post-event. So we've looked at one of the surprises that we got here in the UAE was in 2022 when Fujairah had a flood. So heavy rain in July. That's the heart of our summer. This is the dry season. So, of course, it had a specific impact on the area. Fujairah has a bit of a terrain, so it has a bit of mountains and valleys and so forth. So we've analyzed the amount of rain. We've analyzed the impact on the ground, the route of the valleys, the route of the water, and how it's accumulating. And we've looked at all that as a post-event, because it came as a surprise, right? But from there, we've actually triggered the concept to say, no, let's go a bit proactive. Can we set for pre-event? So can we connect with the weather forecast and understand what the, for example, the National Center for Meteorology in the UAE, the NCM, or what is the NSRC or the National Search and Rescue Department is building before certain events? And how can we actually leverage AI into this? So we looked across the globe, and unfortunately, of course, the earthquake that happened in Turkey and in Syria last year, we looked at the impact, we looked at post-event, during the event, what is the impact analysis on buildings, what are the routes for healthcare or the search and rescue support, and we've looked at even the impact on certain dams. How is it impacted? All of this analysis that we've created gave us a bit more momentum. So understanding the event during, of course, we prepared before, and then we've looked at lesson learned after that. How can we improve? How can we inject AI to give more valuable insights, creating more predictive analysis or courses of action that could be recommended for decision making? Following that, we've seen the flood that happened in Libya. So we've looked into that, and we were actually able to predict the amount of rain and water levels before. Then we matched it, and I think we've reached around 90% accuracy during the event. And then, of course, post the event and the impact on the long term on the cities impacted. And of course, just recently, a few weeks ago, we had one of the highest rainstorms ever in the UAE. I think it's within one day, we've reached, at some points in the UAE, the level reached 250 millimeter. So that's more than 10 times the annual rain amount that we get in the UAE. So we've looked at before and analyzing exactly what are the locations that will be impacted, what would be the, as we mentioned, we call them the routes, or you know, how the water streams will impact the urban areas and non-urban areas, where the water is going to accumulate, what will be the impact on the road network, on the transportation side, what would be required during the event to support the different entities or end users during the event. So we've looked at all of these different analyses, and we supported the National Crisis Agency. We supported the Department of Municipality with our insights that we have derived from our AI injected into this geospatial data that we have. We have leveraged synthetic aperture radar data during the event so we can understand and analyze. We've leveraged our optical data coming from remote sensing to have a bit of a near real-time data coming in and processed very quickly during the event. And of course, post the event, we've looked at how the impact, what is the long-term and first of all, short-term and long-term impacts. So we've looked at land subsidence. So when you have certain urban areas where houses are being dropped a little bit because of the ground, because of the impact. So with SAR, or with synthetic aperture with the SAR data, we can actually identify that land subsidence in certain areas, and if it's increased or not increased or whatever. And of course, we've looked at water compilation, how long, and everything. That's just from a pure geospatial principle. But connect that with, for example, healthcare. With rain, with water pods comes mosquitoes, comes other pests that impacts the overall environment. So we've looked at that as well. The spread, of course, injecting their data into our geospatial concept, connecting it with the different other domains, and trying to build the analysis and the smart analytics on top of that to support how can we deal with that, what can be done to consider that. And of course, we continue building up the momentum to be able to predict more. So we're leveraging AI to predict, to enhance our ability to predict before the event, to enhance our capability to better support the people on the ground or the entities on the ground supporting during the event. And then, of course, for post-analysis and lesson learned as we go forward. Sorry for the long answer.
No, I think this is very, very needed for us and the industry to understand how well AI can integrate with geospatial data and really help climate change challenges that we are facing so much.
I honestly think we're just touching the surface here.
Exactly.
There is much, much more to happen. But as we say, one hand cannot clap. You need that integration. So what we can do, we can build up the GUI or the geospatial referencing and the geospatial data, but I need the data stream from statistics to healthcare to transportation to all the different domains to better understand, not only on a local perspective, but even internationally. Unfortunately, we've witnessed a lot of disasters recently and a lot of environmental or climate changes in the recent years. So how can we actually leverage this data, be it a wildfire, and let's not mention a specific country so we don't jinx or say anything. We wish everyone a safe life, but let's say a wildfire in X country or a flood in another country. What data can we actually inject into our program, and how can we analyze that? So that collaboration is important. And then, of course, other key players, and I'll touch a little bit in a minute about the GIQ, which is a platform that we've created with the space agency, saying for small businesses, for individuals, for medium businesses, come utilize this platform, utilize the data that we have to create your own models. So it's not only us creating, but we're actually attracting other talents, other companies, other partners to come and help us create for a better world and utilize it for the world.
So is this something in line with us creating a spatial data infrastructure platform?
Yes. So this SDI, of course, whether it's for, of course, on a local perspective in the UAE, we have that maturity and we're building that. But for overall SDI, we've looked at even certain global countries that would require our support into this, would require a global support in this, not only Bayanat's perspective, to build the right SDI for them, to build the right geospatial base map for them that can be leveraged, be it for, as we mentioned, to quarantine or to support in a crisis, to build the transportation principle, to just as simple as building the statistical data on education, on demographies. There are so many applications that can be built. But as you clearly stated, without the proper SDI, without the proper base map, all of the advanced technology cannot be applicable, right? So that's also part of our vision, is to be able to actually help, other countries, other end users to build up their capabilities from the ground, and then with them we can create those tailored solutions, injecting AI to support further advancement.
Thank you so much for enumerating the vision of Bayanat. And through this interview, through this conversation, I'm sure we will be able to take this message forward to the larger geospatial industry as well. Mr. Hasan, that brings me to the second part of this conversation, which is about your association with the World Geospatial Industry Council. I just want to understand what brought you to WGIC, and how do you see the business aspirations of Bayanat aligning with those of WGIC?
It fits perfectly well with our strategy. So first of all, of course, one of the key missions of WGIC is to promote the use of geospatial information for sustainable development, which really resonates with Bayanat, right? And as we mentioned, we are not into reinventing the wheel or creating something that is redundant. We are more eager to actually take it to the next level. So what WGIC offers is that interaction with all the different partners, with this specific sector, and I truly believe it's a great vision to better understand where do we stand today, benchmark the capabilities, and see what is next, what can we offer next, and not only on not driven by only the business side of or the commercial side of the business, but from a sustainability perspective, to contribute to this world that we live in. How can we connect that? And it does not work unless we have that communication between all the different key players in this domain. And I think what WGIC is doing is wonderful. It connects all of that together, and it gives the right vision for all of us to build around sustainability, to support the mankind in general, and our Earth, most importantly, and what we can do for that. So it's really interesting for me. I'm very pleased to be aligned with the WGIC, and I think we have a very like-minded corporation and their leaders. We have that collaboration that aim to enhance the capability of geospatial intelligence, and we want to be not only part in that, we want to be a very active part in that.
So that brings me to the next question. How do you intend to leverage the complementary strengths of WGIC member companies? You might have already noticed that WGIC is a congregation of a global geospatial companies with a very rich tapestry of either data, products, services, and solutions. I would like to understand your views on how do we deepen these connections and so that we build as an industry together, build and solve customer problems.
So, of course, with our membership in the WGIC, we've connected two key people, and it actually reflects how important this membership is for Bayanat. So, myself as part of this board, and of course, Dr. Prashant Marpo, who is basically our guru when it comes to geospatial artificial intelligence and creating that model. He's going to engage from a technical perspective with the various teams from the WGIC to understand where we stand today, how can we contribute with what we have already existing, and how can we connect with what the aspirations are from the different members of the WGIC. That's one side from the technical side. I'm there as well to see how can we build that, corporate, I would call it corporate social responsibility, but it's not just social responsibility, it's more of a global responsibility when it comes to climate change, impact on the ground, supporting different countries around the world to really leverage the geospatial data to improve the human life, the overall biodiversity across the earth. So we're looking at all of this as key areas for our connection with WGIC. And of course, just being able to understand the data that is available with the WGIC, of course, the subject matter experts, and I've met a few of them in Davos and in a couple of remote sessions. It's wonderful to just have these conversations with these, subject matter experts that are specialized in this domain to better understand. One, it gives me an assurance that we are taking the right direction in terms of what we're trying to build and what we're trying to create from a strategic perspective. And two, it offers me the platform to say, I'm here to support this great vision, and how can we actually contribute the right way to this vision.
Fantastic for enumerating your alignment with WGIC, Mr. Hasan.